the oil. Got all my tools out. Need a box to put all of my items in so I don't lose them. Line it up where the manufacturer marks are. Jack stand. Gonna need that. With my new filter, I'm going to take a little bit of clean oil, put a little coat around the ring. You should be able to hand twist the filter out. If not, you're going to get it with this guy here. The clamp on and then twist this way. I'll take a switch, the smaller one. Smaller wrench. I did need the wrench to get it out, but I just tightened it up by hand. You should not use the wrench to tighten it. Recycle this. The auto parts store takes it for you. So now we got 5W20 synthetic oil, which is what's recommended for this car. You can use a great variety of oils. It takes 4 quarts. This jug was not quite full. It holds 5 quarts, so it'll probably take the entire jug. We'll stop and check. I need to start the car in order to make sure the oil pressure is right. As soon as the light goes out, then I can check my oil. Okay, need about half a quart. These have little dots on them. And of course, you can't see it from here. You turn this the other way. So they have 2 dots. It's got a dot down close to the end of it. That's the minimum oil. The dot up here is the maximum oil. My liquid line comes about halfway right now. So I'm going to fill it to the max. Between the 2 dots, there's typically 1 quart of oil. So this guy here, another half quart in because mine was halfway to that dot. I'm going to let that drain in, and I'll check the oil again. C'est parfait. Take the funnel out, your cap back on. I'm going to change my spark plugs next, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave my cap off because I'm going to need to take this tray off. My oil change is done. Matter of fact, I don't need the car anymore because I don't need that for the spark plugs. Pull up in the air, a little bit off the jack stand, that out of the way, pull the jack stand out of the way, put the car down. I'm going to unhook my negative terminal of my battery before I get going on my spark plug. All right, I'm just going to leave my cap resting there because I don't want dust to get in there. Need my socket wrench. So I'm going to undo the negative terminal of my battery. You don't need to take that nut all the way out, just loosen it up, take that guy off. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts in this cover. How nice, same size socket. Okay, they're all loose. Oh, what do you know, they go right over the cap, so I can leave the cap all the way on. It's got electronic ignition, so you will not see spark plug wires. You see electric lines coming to it. So each one of these has a bolt holding them in. And again, I think we're at the same size. Now what's nice is the length of the wires are different and these are connected to each other. You can get to some cars. I had a friend who had a, what is it, a Skylark, like a V8 Skylark or something, you know, a 70s car. And he took off, you know, his distributor cap and the spark plugs and didn't label anything. And of course, it helped him figure out how to get it all back together. So, 1, 2, looks like I gotta get this guy off in order to access those. So I've got 3 bolts holding this thing in, and I'm going to have 4 bolts for the spark plugs. And I'm going to put these in that pan that I set out at the beginning of my oil change, so I don't lose anything. And those bolts are different than these bolts. I should still know which one's which because even though they're both 10 millimeter, these have a flange on the head, and there's 4 of them. There's only 3 of those, so it should be easy enough. Should have worn my Aquaman gloves because I've got a little bit of oil on my super suit here. I don't want to get oil on my super suit. So these guys here, they just pull straight up and out, and you can unclip these. If they don't have enough length, you can unclip them. If you have enough length, don't worry about unclipping them. It's another step. So get them all out of here. Again, you really can't get them back in the wrong order because they have different lengths. Now I'm looking at this. Alright, it's okay. Set those out of the way. And my plugs are deep. My plugs are deep down in there. You see them? There he is. So I need to use an extension. There really only are 2 size sockets for spark plugs that are typically used. So it's going to be one of these 2 guys here. So I've got my first plug. So get that all the way loose. And there he is. It doesn't look terrible. And these kind of smush down in here because there's a little gasket inside the spark plug socket. Spark plugs come pre-gapped, but it is best to check them. So this is spark plug gapping tool right here. I had to take the kids to play practice, so I had to leave. That's why it's darker now. All right, here. Just looked at the spark plug gap here on this handy dandy computer. 0.039 to 0.043. So I'm going to get this little tool here. And I'm going to have to go get my little glasses because I can't read that. Just type in the year, make, and model of your car and spark plug gap and it'll show up. So take the old one, and it was really a little bit too wide. The new one is just right. So I'm not sure what was going on with the old one there. Putting spark plugs back in, take one out, put one in, rather than try to get all 4 out and 4 in. So squish him into the gasket there. The gasket kind of holds it in. I'll set this down in here. You want to be careful not to bang the bottom of that spark plug, because if you do, you can change the gap. Now, I'm just tightening this by hand, making sure that my threads don't get crossed. It should go in very easily. If it's not, you could be damaging the threads. That's expensive. So, don't. Now I put this in, and I just made 1/4 turn after it was snug. And the spark plug doesn't want to come out with it. So what I can do is I can flip it to tighten it just a pinch, and when I do that with it, it usually releases it. There it goes. Moving on to the next spark plug. Set him in there. Here we go. That one. If your spark plugs look different from one another, be sure to label the cylinder that the ones that looks different came out of, so that you can make note of what's going on in that cylinder. I'm going to label mine in the order I'm taking them out. This is not the firing order. Yeah, it could be. It's most likely not. But this is just so I know where they came out of. Quarter time. It's not going to give me back my socket. Touching that way. I'm continuing to have a lot of trouble getting the spark plug off, so if you do what I've just done here and just use a standard deep well socket, you absolutely have to disconnect the battery. I'm going to use the spark plug tool to be able to grab a hold of. There we go. And that one I'm going to label number 3. Check my gap. You can ask your parts store if the plug is pre-gapped. Typically, they will be, and they'll be gapped correctly. It is always a good idea to double check. You never know what's happened. Spark plug got returned by a customer, you know, they changed the gap, someone dropped the box and it changed the gap. It's just a good idea to check it. So I'm going to go ahead and use the spark plug tool to lower it down in there, because I don't want to drop the plug. But as soon as I get it set in there, just twist or two and pull it up off of there. Switch out for the deep well socket. Pull that thing up by hand, and then take it off. Take it off with quarter turn or less, and then pull it up out. Switch to the deep well socket so that I'll be able to release this single bob. This is my hand tightening. Socket wrench. And quarter turn or less. I got it on there. I'm going to take this harness, stick these fellas back in. The bolts with little flared heads on them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all finger tight. Now I'm going to take my 10mm socket, and I'm going to go ahead and tighten all those down. 1. And these don't need forced in either. They just need to be snug. 2, 3, 4. The 3 bolts that I used to take out the traps in over here. I got 1, 2, 3. Put this guy here. 10mm socket. Again, just snug these down. The last step is putting this cover back on. He had 4 bolts. They're still resting in their holes. And I'm going to take and set it down on there. Let's move this operation over a few inches. We're going to change this air filter, which is extremely simple. So we have new filter. I have never changed, well, no, okay, I've not done the filter in this car before. You can get oil change coupons that make it hard to even change your own oil. When you do, they change your filter there. I don't think I've ever done one in this car before. I probably have, because it's just so simple. Look, there's 4 clips there. You lift it up, you check it. It's kind of grimy. It's a cheap part that can make your car run so much better. And you can see how difficult that repair is right there. So I'll have to look at my receipt. I bet that was $10 filter. So it's 4 clips, and it's all there's to it in this. There we go. Didn't have it down all the way. So if it doesn't close, just like that, just make sure that the filter's lined up right. That's all there's to it. The very last thing we need to do is reconnect the battery. So, I'm going to take my I'm going to grab the battery cable here, the negative terminal, grab the battery cable, negative, and grab the negative battery terminal, stick them on there, and I'm going to tighten this down.